5 minutes ago, the world of Korean entertainment experienced a kind of moment that rewrites headlines, rewires fan hearts, and ripples across every corner of social media. A press hall filled with a familiar hum of camera shutters and the rustle of reporters flipping through their notes. Yoo Yeon-seok stood behind a simple podium, his hands clasped just tightly enough for anyone paying close attention to know this wasn't just another promotional appearance. The Grand Walker Hill Seoul Hotel's crystal chandeliers cast a golden light over him, catching in the slight sheen of sweat on his brow. It wasn't warm in the room, the air conditioning was running at full power, but something in the air was undeniably charged. Chessubin sat just 2 seats away on the stage, and radiant in an ivory blouse and tailored trousers, her hair softly framing her face. She was smiling at a joke a reporter had made about their on-screen chemistry. But the smile didn't last long. Yeon-seok had shifted his weight forward, leaning into the microphone, and his voice cut through the room with a clarity that silenced even the clicking cameras. "I have to say this," he began. Not rehearsed but raw, as if the words had been pushing at the edges of his heart for far too long. "I can't pretend anymore." His gaze slid toward Chae Soo-bin, and though the moment lasted barely a second, the connection in that look was so intense that a few reporters actually forgot to take notes. For weeks, whispers had been circulating, the kind of rumors that start on anonymous forums and grow into speculative articles with grainy paparazzi photos. They had been spotted laughing together in a cafe after midnight. They had arrived at a wrap party in the same car. Fans dismissed some of it, clung to other details, but no one truly expected anything definitive. That's why the atmosphere in the room shifted into something electric and unsteady. Yoo Yeon-seok's next words were measured, one seeming to cost him a fraction more courage. "Chae Soo-bin, I admire you beyond words. Working with you has been more than just acting. You've inspired me, taught me, and shown me kindness in ways that I didn't know I needed. And I think it's time I say, in front of everyone, you're someone I care about deeply." The air seemed to collapse into silence. Even the faint hum of the air conditioning seemed to dim. Chae Soo-bin's lips parted slightly, and for the first time all afternoon, she was utterly still. The corners of her eyes crinkled just enough to suggest a complex cocktail of emotions, surprise, warmth, and maybe a trace of panic. Fans watching the live stream flooded the chat box with frantic messages. "Did he just confess? Someone translate this now. This feels like a drama scene." On Twitter, hashtags were already climbing. Yoo Yeon-seok confession, Chae Soo-bin reaction, and even real-life K-drama appeared within seconds, boosted by fans frantically clipping and uploading the 30-second clip. The reporters, momentarily frozen, erupted in a chorus of overlapping questions. Dating, when did this start? Is this for the drama promotion? Agency representatives, previously lounging at the back of the room, scrambled forward. One tried to whisper to coordinator, immediately began typing on her phone, probably alerting higher-ups to the unexpected turn of events. Yoo Yeon-seok, however, didn't look away from Chae Soo-bin. He wasn't smiling, but his eyes held an openness that was more powerful than any grin could have been. For years, he had built a reputation as a disciplined professional, warm, but always careful. This was different. It wasn't calculated. It wasn't for the cameras. This was him stepping over a line he'd drawn for himself long ago. In the hours before the event, the atmosphere had been nothing like this. Reporters mingled in the lobby, trading industry gossip. Fans stood behind velvet ropes, holding neatly printed banners and small gifts. Polite applause when Chae Soo-bin arrived first, her hair catching the flash of every camera. She greeted staff with the ease of someone who knows every name and every role in the room. Yoo Yeon-seok had arrived later, dressed in a tailored navy suit that seemed almost too formal for the occasion. He smiled, waved, but his eyes darted around as if tracking the minutes to something inevitable. The event was initially meant to promote their upcoming joint project, a romantic drama that had already built anticipation thanks to teaser trailers showing their uncanny chemistry. The script called for subtle glances, lingering touches, and slow-burning emotional exchanges. Fans had been dissecting every frame, wondering how much of it was acting and how much was simply them. Now, standing in this moment, it was impossible not to think of those scenes. His voice, low and steady, echoed a confession scene from the drama's second teaser, only this time, there was no director calling cut. Chessubin shifted slightly in her seat, her hands clasped in her lap. She blinked once, twice, grounding herself. Her lips curved into a small smile. Her eyes glistened, betraying emotion she wasn't ready to voice. The press waited for her to respond, but she said nothing. Her gaze locked with his for a moment longer before she looked down at her hands. The tension in the room was so tangible that even the hotel staff lining the walls seemed caught in it. One of the photographers, a veteran of countless celebrity events, later told a colleague, "I've never seen anything like it. That wasn't acting. That was two people, in front of the whole country, trying to figure out what they mean to each other." Time the Mick regained control of the event. The internet was already running wild. Online forums filled with frame-by-frame analyses of Chessubin's reaction. Some swore she was fighting back tears. Claimed they saw her mouth form silent words. A popular fan account tweeted, "It's a promo stunt. It's the greatest in history. If it's real, I'm crying for them." But the most striking detail wasn't in her reaction, it was in his. Yoo Yeon-seok didn't flinch under the barrage of questions. He didn't hide behind humor or vague platitudes. Instead, he sat back down, still angled toward her, as if every fiber of his being refused to let the moment fade. The event continued. The Mick tried to steer the conversation back to safe topics, the filming process, the challenges of certain scenes, anecdotes from the set. But every answer circled back to an unspoken truth hanging over the room. The confession was out there now, alive in headlines, already rewriting how fans and the industry would see them. It wasn't until the end of the press conference, Mick invited final remarks, that Chae Soo-bin finally addressed it. Her voice was softer than usual, a tremor slipping in between syllables. "I wasn't expecting that," she said, glancing briefly at him before looking out at the sea of cameras. "But I will say this, working with Yeon-seok has been a gift. He's been a friend, a mentor, someone who always brings warmth to everyone around him." She didn't say she returned his feelings. Didn't dismiss them either. The ambiguity was almost as powerful as a direct answer. Fans immediately began dissecting her tone, her pauses, her choice of words. Backstage, away from the public eye, a camera from a behind-the-scenes team caught them in a quieter moment. He approached her slowly, not wanting to intrude. He looked up, and for a second, the noise from the main hall faded into the background. They spoke in low voices, nothing audible to the crew, but at one point, she placed her hand gently on his forearm. They're both grounding and intimate. By the time they left the hotel, the frenzy outside was in full swing. Fans crowded the entrance, holding up signs, shouting words of encouragement. They emerged together, side by side. Side of them, illuminated by the blinding flashes of dozens of cameras, sent another shockwave through the crowd. Yoo Yeon-seok raised a hand in a casual wave. Chae Soo-bin offered a small bow and a shy smile. Within hours, the internet had turned the moment into a cultural phenomenon. Memes compared it to legendary K-drama scenes. Overseas media outlets picked up the story, translating the confession into multiple languages. They endorsed released statements expressing continued support for both actors. Some industry insiders speculated this could mark a turning point in Korean celebrity culture, a rare instance of a star risking a public confession without a carefully orchestrated PR plan. Warned that the media pressure might strain them both. For the millions watching from behind screens, it didn't matter. In that moment, the scripted lines of their drama had blurred with the unscripted lines of life, and something authentic had broken through. This was the beginning of a love story or a fleeting, brave moment. Only time would tell. But as the sun set over Seoul and the city lights began to shimmer, one thing was certain, the world would be watching, waiting for whatever came next.